So, we're getting to the hour mark, so we should just start the real show. Should we do that now? Because while we're having too much fun, because I got to say, there's a lot of goofy shit. Can't play your own music. No, that's the thing, Coretta. It's very strange. So hang on to your horses. Here we go. It's a rough transition. Yes, and God bless Joe Biden and all the health in the world. And I feel like he'll be fine. And it's whatever. What are you going to make new music? I have been making new music. It's just a matter of getting it recorded. I've been writing for a while now. So, so here we go. This is, well, I mean, thanks. I tried, Georgina. So, here, now I feel almost bad going to this. We have to cover this though, because holy God. Yeah. Oof. So, these assholes, Bongholio and Kash Patel, were both on Maria Bartiromo's show, doing an interview. And this is the one where they said they think, they believe the conventional story about Jeffrey Epstein. So here we go. Let's jump into this. Thank you guys for humoring me during the first hour of the show. I really do, like, that's lovely. And it was nice, I gotta say, it was nice listening to some of those songs. Like, while I'm doing a Midwestern goodbye on all this kind of shit. I was just asked to join a Queer as Folk reunion on June 12th in LA for Pride. They're gonna screen an episode of the show, and then there's gonna be a Q&A and that kind of stuff, which will be really nice. I posted it on my Blue Sky. I will, as they give me, they're gonna send me graphics and all. It just happens. They're gonna send me all the information and the promo stuff but I'm doing that for Pride Month. And so far it's me and Scott and Michelle and Ron and Dan and who else? Peter Page. So, yeah. Georgina, you have a question, please answer. Okay. If I don't see it go by, somebody tell me what it is. But go ahead. Why is there cross eyes? You would see this jerk. Yeah. So, what do you think of the remake? No comment. I think people should be able to do whatever art they seek to do. There it is. That's my politically correct answer. I don't know that it's live streaming, but I wouldn't be surprised. So I will ask. This just happened. They just asked me to do this. Okay. It's live. It's there. But, yeah, I'm in no position to criticize. I think I could be, It's a recreation of a character you made, sort of. You know what I mean? That would be the thing. I don't care, though. So, there you go. No, there wasn't another one. This is yeah. So, and it's made for, it's not pay cable. So, it's much more neutered in that regard. So, it went away. So, anyways, let's jump straight into Captain Kooky Pants telling us all, like, remember, let me start this off. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. This is going to start off the clip probably of the thing. So let me start off with saying that both of these guys, that Bongholio and Kash Patel came in saying, we're going to shut down the FBI, turn the FBI headquarters into a museum for the deep state. We're going to release all the Epstein stuff on day one, all the Jan 6 stuff on day one. We're all being lied to. The deep state is controlling all this. Just understand the premise of the entirety of the campaign, because you and I are aware of it, but maggots are really aware of it. Okay, so here we go.
We begin this Sunday morning with increasing...
Boring. Silly, boring, stupid, boring, stupid. Nobody cares.
Of the FBI, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, as well as some of the other important cases that they are working on, including drug and human trafficking cells operating in America today. The event...
Of course they are. Of course, never occurred to them to maybe talk to the guy who was friends with the biggest, most well-known human trafficker in the history of the country, Jeffrey Epstein, and all of his modeling world friends.
January 6th and Jeffrey Epstein's death. But the director began by praising his 30,000 plus colleagues at the FBI during.
He did what? He praised his colleagues at the FBI? You mean the deep state? The people who've been weaponizing law enforcement against Donald John Trump?
National Police Week.
It's Police Week, Maria. And
it is Police Week, Maria. How do you say Police Week, Maria? It's Police Week, Maria. It is. Did I mention it's Police Week? We're coming out here. Both of us are pretending to be police. I wear a badge. They gave me one.
it's a really momentous occasion for law enforcement, for the sacrifices they put in for the country. The deputy and I have been going to events all week, and the most painful part is...
How the fuck is Bongholio whiter than me? That's not weird. Jesus Christ, he's pale.
Being with the families of the fallen, but we're here to remind America that there's a consequence to the freedom that they have, and there.
Huh? Wait, what? There's a consequence to the freedom that they have? No. There's a price for freedom, and these people pay it. And God damn, this dude is stupid. No, this isn't. Police Week isn't about the consequences of freedom, you dipshit.
The deputy and I have been going to events all week, and the most painful.
Of course, you've been going to events all week, because you certainly aren't busy. Prepping the Epstein files for release.
Part is being with the families of the fallen, but we're here to remind America that there's a consequence to the freedom that they have, and there's good men and women that keep stepping up for that fight. So it's a big deal that you're here on Police Week.
Thank you.
Are they on a fucking gun range?
So the honor wall, and I want to walk past that.
Okay, yeah, they're at the gun range. Look, hold on.
Yeah, with the family they have, and there's good men and women that keep stepping up for that fight. Consequence
yeah, that's it.
Is being with the families of the fallen, but
they're a fucking what? The hell? What a weird ass place to do an interview.
Remind America that there's a consequence to the freedom that they have, and there's good men and women that keep stepping up for that fight. So it's a big deal.
God damn, he sucks. There's a price that has to be paid for the freedoms we take for granted, and law enforcement personnel pay that price on our behalf every single day, and people need to be reminded of that. Why is that so hard to say? I don't even have prepared remarks. I don't have a staff with a little, helping me run the boilerplate every week. Jesus Christ. I mean, if it meant anything to you, you'd kind of get your thoughts together about it. Fuck it, just freeball it.
That you're here on Police Week.
Thank you. And I saw the honor wall, and I want to walk past that with you. I unfortunately was on Wall Street on 9/11, and my heart goes out to the families who've lost their loved ones. Dan?
Yeah, 9/11. I was an agent on 9/11 with the Secret Service, and I just remember, as you probably do, even from the media perspective, the chaos. Remember, nothing worked like we thought it was going to work. So the director and I...
Sorry, what do you mean? The steel that held the buildings up?
Been deeply inspired, obviously, as everyone in America was, by tragic, horrible incident.
Bullshit. I don't normally question people's words about tragic events like that, but neither of these motherfuckers are like, we need to make sure that our people in the field have all the communication tools and backup they could possibly need. They're like, fuck, we need to shut this dump down. You know, the people that tracked down the hijackers and got the information and recognized they're from the fucking country that Trump was sucking up to last week? All those folks. We need to make sure that everything they need works perfectly well and they're trained on it and all that. They're like, nah, these people are the enemy.
But I know when Kash and I are sitting there in the morning, that is the single motivating factor for us, is keep the homeland safe. That is priority number one.
And I want to ask you about that now.
Edit.
The homeland safe. That is priority number one.
And I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, shitty edits in this one. Yeah.
I'll go into some of the specifics, but Director...
Go into some of the specifics about keeping the homeland safe? Fucking awesome.
You've said many times that the FBI has been politicized. So what are your plans to rebuild trust in this fine institution and depoliticize the FBI?
So we have a multi-part process. First of all, our priorities, simple: crush violent crime, defend the homeland, rigorous organizational accountability, and the fourth, which leads directly.
Sorry, I thought those three things were number one. By the way, you fucking think that FBI agents and FBI heads haven't been talking about this and doing the exact same thing? We're gonna crush it, bro. Fuck, we're gonna crush this. Dude, we're fucking gonna nail it. Like, I'm sorry, what's the difference between you and other FBI leaders that they can be, I don't know, statesmen while they're doing their job and talk like a fucking adult, and you're using douche bro language? That's the big change?
Question aggressive constitutional oversight with Congress. The way we rebuild trust is we already have the men and women here in the rank and file that signed up to be cops, that signed up to be intel analysts, that signed up to be special support staff, that want to do the work. That's why we're sending them into the field. We can talk about that later.
Well, okay, also, why would you send intel people into the field? What field could they possibly go into?
We need America to know is that this place was politicized, and Congress has rightfully requested the documents from Crossfire Hurricane to January 6th to the Richmond Catholic Memo and so much more. But now,
yes, the Epstein file. No, you know what? Don't bring those up. That's right.
the Americans are reading for themselves the documentation where a very select few leaders in the former FBI decided to politicize it. We don't need me and the deputy telling you it's politicized. We want the American people to read it, and now they are.
And I know I lived with.
Oh, fuck off. That's just lazy. That's stupid. That's like saying, it's like talking shit about J. Edgar Hoover in the past tense. Like, most of this is decades older, complete misunderstanding. And by the way, Crossfire Hurricane, it was an undercover thing to figure out the trade of guns that were coming from the United States into Mexico and ending up in the hands of cartels. Not just like AR-15s and rifles and sniper rifles and shit like that, but machine guns from military bases. And so the process of doing that, I got news for you. In an undercover operation, contraband gets bought and sold so you know where the fuck it goes. Let me explain this to these dipshits. Let's say you have a specialty rifle and you don't want it to get out there, so you put a tracking chip inside it, right? That is undetectable because the rest of it, whatever, and you mount it in there, and then you take the firing pin, which is specialized, out of it, so it doesn't fucking work. The person that chose it can fire it once, but then they'll take out this little piece, and then it doesn't work ever again. And then you sell that thing, and then you follow its little tracking signal everywhere it goes, so you know where all the stuff is traded, where it's stored, all that kind of stuff. Okay, that's the simplest version of it. All of these things require undercover work, require subterfuge, and this idea that like the FBI and the marshals and the police have to just like walk around in a giant big blue "I'm a cop" outfit. You know what everybody needs to do? If you guys watched the Chicago Code, they only did one season of it. Jason Clarke was on it, and Jennifer Beals. It's fucking great. And the undercover element of that storyline is really well done. Like the guy who's undercover and like how far they feel like he can go and when he's in danger and when he doesn't, you know, when he's in the dark and can't communicate. That kind of stuff, like is crucial, and it's really well done. It's well, I don't know if anybody's seen that show, but yeah.
For you, I watched it with you and Devin Nunes when you were truth tellers on all of this, and you were as well, Dan, throughout the Russia collusion story and the rest.
Look, I can speak to the folks that were in our seats, our predecessors, and they intentionally failed the American public by putting on the biggest DC deception game we've ever seen. They said the FBI was the most storied institution for law enforcement.
Yeah, but they can only investigate what the DOJ allows them to, and Bill Barr guaranteed that they could not look into the finances of Trump, and therefore motive means an opportunity, the motive being largely financial. If you can't look into the motive, then you cannot carry a case forward. It doesn't mean there wasn't collusion. There absolutely was. It doesn't mean that they weren't, having all these backdoor conversations and playing footsie with the Russians the entire time throughout the campaign and in Trump's businesses, because they abso-fucking-lutely were. This idea that, and by the way, one of the ways he wants, you want to depoliticize all this shit? Super fucking easy. Super easy. You want to hear it? You want to know how? Release the grand jury testimony from the Mueller report. All of it. All of it. Go for it, Mr. fucking Transparency.
It was. And it will be again very soon. But
because it never wasn't, and you guys were just lying, and now you've changed your tune now that you're on the inside.
the likes of Comey and McCabe and Strzok and company came in here with the James Bakers of the world and intentionally lied to a federal court only to rig a presidential election by lying to the American public and using taxpayer dollars, likely illegally, to fund this entire operation and then withhold exculpatory.
Yeah, they weren't illegally doing anything. You're a silly person. They have free speech rights as well. Even if especially if they know something is not breaking through, that, you know, they effectively were whistleblowers.
Information from a federal court that I used to appear before to manhunt terrorists. That's what broke the FBI. And then when they were caught, they lied about it.
When did this fucker manhunt terrorists? It sounds like he's getting thirsty.
And you and a few others like Dan and others were brave enough to cover it 6, 7, 8 years ago. And we're still talking about it today because as Congress is working rigorously with us, the Crossfire Hurricane documents are coming fast and hard.
Yeah, and it's stupid, and it had nothing to do with Trump, and it's something you've been dragging on about Eric Holder for a long time, and you don't like the idea that gun salesmen in the United States lost a big market with the Mexican cartels.
And they're being sent there unredacted so we can have full accountability. And that's how you restore what the trust that was lost to the American public when it comes to the FBI.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
But come on, Director, with all due respect, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I've been demanding accountability for many, many years. You mentioned Comey, Strzok, and the rest. They've got TV shows. They've got media platforms. They're fine. There's been no accountability.
Well, look, it's a fair criticism, but what I will tell people is we weren't here in the FBI in the last 5 years when we had statute of limitations that were still in play, where we could have investigated criminal conduct.
You can still investigate criminal conduct. There's other people where the statute of limitations haven't run out. You could also seize any materials they had while they were working for the government, because that's public record, right? You could certainly undermine their credibility in that regard, do a full report and release it, but you haven't done it yet. You're not going to.
Limitations are 5 years old, and we will investigate criminal conduct where we find a righteous case to do so, and the law and the facts allow us to. But
right. So that's what he means. Nothing's going to happen. Horseshit.
That we're precluded from. So we'll take the criticism, and it's rightfully so. That could we have done more in the past?
Look at poor Bongholio sitting there, looking for a teepee for his bunghole. I am Cornholio. I am Bongholio. Teepee. Are you threatening me?
Sure, people before us could have, but what we can do now is continue to put out the documents and the information that these people withheld.
Put out the documents. Yeah, the Epstein documents. Of course, not those.
The American public. And I'm just telling you right now, as much as we know about Crossfire Hurricane, he and I just found out more last week, and we're continuing to work with Congress to put those documents out. That's how
right, and and you saw new stuff last week, and you're not naming, like, we are filing charges. We're announcing that we're filing charges against people involved in that because of blah blah blah. That's what they're doing. If there was anything in that, they would be saying so. They know there isn't.
And vicious the former leadership structure here was. Not only did they bastardize the FISA process and lie to the American public, they withheld and hid documentation. And
also, by the way, the quote bastardizing of the FISA thing, that's where they're saying Trump was spied on or whatever because they were spying on foreign opponents or enemies overseas, and people maggots got swept up in that because they were contacting these people all the time, and they're like, you're not supposed to peek at who is there. You're not supposed to unveil American citizens who talk to Vladimir Putin's office bi-weekly. This doesn't look good. The more you reveal on this, honestly, the issue that they have is that they have to selectively release shit or people will recognize there actually is a there, that Trump and his crowd are completely up Putin's ass, and that there was plenty of like backdoor money and support coming through Mike Flynn from Turkey, through the Saudis, through the Chinese, and all this stuff that they were screaming to high heaven about Biden was absolutely happening. And so they can't just release everything, because if they released everything, then people go, oh, yeah, I could see why they would think this, because 80% of the evidence points directly at this. And 20% is just noise, not exculpatory.
In rooms where people weren't supposed to look. And it's a good thing we're here.
See, that's the complaint. They were looking in rooms where they're not supposed to look because of Americans and freedom. You mean people in the campaign who were illegally contacting foreign governments and engaged in a quid pro quo? So that, again, this is how you do it. We're attacking this person. I think the second question always has to be, well, did these people believe that there was a clear and present danger? You had created this situation where they're not supposed, you say they're abusing the FISA warrant system, that they were looking where they're not supposed to look. Well, in an emergency, aka for example 9/11 or something like that, there is a heightened sense of security in an emergency. Therefore, there's a right to look into those things. And if the president, whether it was Obama and then Biden into Trump, looked into these things, he had every right to do it according to, and there's no law breaking at all if they ask somebody to do it or vaguely said, we need to make sure that this isn't slipping by us. That's enough for all these guys to go look into every angle of this because the president said, we can't let this slip by us. That's enough. That's enough of a window for them to act going, well, the president's got total leeway. We've got to make sure this shit isn't happening, right?
Clean it up, and you're about to see a wave of transparency.
What do
Horse shit.
you mean?
Just give us about a week or two.
Yeah, just give us about a week or two. And flagging.
Okay. Well, I can tell you right now that the judge that gave a smack on the wrist on the one agent that lied and, misled the American people, that's the same judge who's back and stopping Donald Trump from doing things, isn't it? Judge Boasberg?
Yeah, I just got to push back. Listen, we've been here 2 months.
Yeah, listen, you dizzy bitch. Stop bugging us already. Look, you don't realize this is a hard job, and all that shit about me saying that the job was easy, that's bullshit, okay? I was just saying that for points to make me seem cool, asshole.
That was just bullshit, Joel.
We've been here a couple more weeks than that. I mean, we've been here 2 months. You're dealing with a 38,000 member organization and an approximately $12 billion budget.
Fair point.
Where...
No, it isn't. You don't have to go through all... What do you think? All 38,000 of them were engaged in this stuff? You think 1,000 were? You think 500 were? There were probably 300 max on the team. Those folks were all doing what they were told to do. So how many boxes of shit do you want to look through where you're going to find the aha fucking memo? It's all been digitized. You can do a fucking PDF search, more than likely, from your desk. It's bullshit. You're covering your ass. There is no there. There's not going to be a big magical like, oh my God. They got away with it. Like, get the fuck out of here. I can't, look, we're going to be as transparent and as accountable as anybody. So just take that to the bank and stop asking for information, okay? What a douchebag.
Expect us in 2 months to dig up what was a 8-year, maybe longer, multi-year politicized investigation with multiple layers of processes, from Woods procedures being just thrown in the garbage can and flushed down the toilet bowl to
Is that how garbage cans work?
multiple layers of accountability where people lied and obfuscated. I'm not asking you to trust me. You want this done right, or you want to...
See the edit too? Man, they're editing the shit out of Bongholio, man. And look at Patel. Ugh. I hate this stuff. Trump's making us do this.
Obfuscated. I'm not asking you to trust me. You want this done right, or you want to...
See that? Did you see that edit? They let one word roll over to it, and then they clipped over to, you want this done right? Editing the fuck out of this. I don't want to hear shit about Harris's 60 Minutes. Meanwhile,
quickly, because you can't have it both ways. You want
yeah, Maria.
quickly, we'll do it. And you know what'll happen? Just what happened last time. Those same Spygate collusion perpetrators sued the government, got money, got all this shit. You want that? We'll do it. We'll do it quickly and do it right.
Yeah, you want us to do our, well, look, just because I said I could do it in fucking 2 days, you want me to do it in 2 days? Fine, I'll do it in 2 days. And it won't work. I mean, I said it would work in 2 days. We could do it like that. I said it'd be so easy, and I know exactly where to go. And I said that's what, because I have experience. I was like, I could just walk right in there. You don't even have to look. I know what folder it would be in. You talk to one person, boom, it's all over. I know I said that, but you don't expect me to do that, do you?
But are you saying you found things that you...
Holy God. Have I played Resident Evil? Yes, I have. And I still argue that the second version, the Resident Evil 2, is the best one. Because the clicking of the animals, the monsters walking in the hallway, and the angles of the camera that you had to deal with, because it wasn't really a first person or third person runner, like you had limited view, made it more like a horror film. Speaking of horror film, duck lips.
You didn't know about? I mean, you were
Yes.
at the core of this.
Yes. I was the lead Russiagate investigator for the House Intelligence Committee. And I've been on both your shows in a prior life talking about it. And I'm telling you and the American public that we have now found material and information and people who wanted to hide it from the world since we got in these seats. And we, as the deputy said, we are trying to do it in a fashion where not only are we informing the American public of what happened, but we can have accountability for it. And that takes a little bit more time.
Yeah. They found information that people wanted to hide from people, and that's there that we didn't know was there, even though we said that it's self-evident. It's all right there. We didn't even need this extra stuff. But we've got to, we could charge people if what we had said was true, and we just walked right in there and it turned out to be true. When we got to look at it as the lead investigator, you had access to a lot of files. Obviously, Congress has oversight, so you had access to almost everything. And then you go and you find something else that you think you said was hidden is eventually going to be worse than the stuff that you said was chargeable to begin with. Oh, sorry, I got caught up in it actually being real. This is just bullshit.
When you layer on the fact that we are rolling out our priorities on violent crime and defending the homeland.
Yeah, we're busy. Maria, I'm going to UFC fights, and we've got all these like metal and hang out with the cops things that we do that are like bitching. We go drinking with them and all that kind of stuff. All the while we're rolling out our plan to protect the homeland because there are no threats right now. So we're looking down the line.
We're running a 3-part animal here, and we're going 100 miles.
Yes. Congratulations. Welcome to the human centipede of the FBI. Who's in second place? I'm going to go with Bongholio. Yeah. I guess it's Trump's in front, Bongholio second, and Kash Patel bringing up the rear, literally.
Now on each single one.
So important.
It's so important. It is. Thank you, Maria. It is. It's so important. I feel it's important, and they feel it's important, and that's what's important. So we're doing some important things that's very important.
I want to add to that, too, because what the director's saying is right. You got to remember, when we come in the morning, there's a portfolio of 100 level 10 items. If it's a level 9, which is a pretty big freaking deal, someone else fixed it. The only thing that gets to my desk or his is a level 10. That's the...
Right. And you can't handle a level 2.
Entire day. Look at his schedule any given day. I'll show you the palm card I have. It is filled...
The palm card. Oh, fuck you, dude. Okay, palm card. What, you know what he's talking about? That's his little schedule. That's the thing they shit on Biden for having. A palm card. That's what they call it. Remember when Biden had his schedule for when he would do stuff, and they would go, you'll introduce so-and-so, and you'll do your thing. That's the palm card. That's what they're talking about. You carry it around physically in your hand, so you don't have it on a device, and you got the... Fuck you, dude. And they're like, we wouldn't need these things. I know exactly how to go, and I'm operating at a level 10, bitches.
From 7:30 to he leaves 7 at night, 6:30 at night. It's filled all day. We just can't focus on one thing. You want New York to go boom? D.C. to go boom?
Fuck you, dude. Oh my God. You are not personally cutting the blue wire, you asshole. You self-involved prick. If you can't delegate or focus on those kind of things, you shouldn't be the deputy director. The fuck? If you want New York to go boom, Maria, you bitch. Like, that's what he's saying. Look at that fucking attitude. What a dick. If you can't do the job, quit. Yes, it's like a dance card, but with, like, events.
You want an OC organization to go hack into some cyber network and crack all of Fox News' holdings? We're dealing with...
Actually, I mean, I don't know. I'm not for that at all. Don't threaten me with a good time, but I would support it actively.
That stuff, too. Everything's a priority. Everything's a priority. This is one...
Yes, if everything's a priority... Nothing's a priority. That's how that works, stupid. If everything in front of you is like, oh fuck, everything's level 10, and you're not capable of digesting those things, let me get it. Look, I mean, look at his fucking face. Let me tell you something, asshole. If you have a list of 10 things and you're saying they're all immediate emergencies, you have two options: delegate all of them, or a majority of them, to people that can handle them. Like, okay, we need to be on this, so you're in charge of this. Be on this thing. Report back to me by this afternoon, and I want to hear on this, but we need to make major decisions, get our intel people talking on that right now, so if that's crucial and it's happened. This one, you're assigning it to this team. That's what you do as the deputy director. You don't fucking... Like, you're not on the phone all day calling field offices, explaining strategy to them. It's just fucking stupid. And if you think that's how it works, you're in the wrong fucking job. Secondly, if you can't delegate those things, your only other option is to shit your pants, because you're not going to be able to do anything useful. And if you're getting mad at Maria Bartiromo for asking you why you're not doing the things that you said would be easy and quick and you would prioritize immediately, as if you didn't know that that's what the fucking FBI heads have to deal with when you're shit talking these people, when you're talking about Comey and all these other people, like they're fucking lazy, anti-Trump assholes, when in reality they did all these things and they didn't bitch about it. And they ran those investigations and hid things, according to you. So they were doing that and stopping things from going boom. You can't just have people reviewing files? What? Honestly, what the fuck does this asshole think he's doing? I get in the office and they got all these things about it. They're like these white supremacist groups and the Black Hebrew Israelites and the fucking China, and then there's these hacker groups, and I don't even understand any of that shit. And Elon won't take my call, and I'm like, when am I going to have time to go down in the basement, crack open some fucking file boxes, and start combing through all the printouts of James Comey's text messages? God damn. Quit. What an asshole.
Many things were done. It's not an excuse. It's an excuse.
It's an excuse. You're excusing yourself. You're saying, excuse me, bitch, I have to do that. That's how he's talking. He's literally like getting mad at Maria Bartiromo for bringing it up. And I got news for you. The weird part is, like, he's all edgy about it. They both are. But the only reason they're doing this is cleanup. Maggots are flipping the fuck out about the Epstein files, about how Kash Patel isn't, tearing the place apart and all this like he said he would, right? And he's talking like a regular FBI guy. He's wearing the fucking badge and playing cosplay and all these things. The two of them are going, oh shit, this is a tough job. Like, no shit. And maggots are like, you guys have been swallowed up by the deep state. And so they've got to come on Maria's show and push back on this. So they prep to do this. But Bongholio thinks he's still doing a fucking podcast and people are bitching about the audio quality.
Reality.
Now, the Democrats are turning on you, right? I mean, I saw your hearing the other day, and critics have accused you of using the FBI to target political enemies. So set the record straight. You wrote an entire book about it, Government Gangsters. Tell us, how do you respond to the attacks?
Very simply.
See, that's what I'm telling you. This is a cleanup interview. I want everybody to be abundantly clear about this. The whole purpose of this interview is the two of them are in a hole with MAGA, and she's helping them get out. Fox News is acting as their PR crisis team, just for the record.
FBI's prior leadership left us an institution, that is a police force for America and the world, that allowed a fentanyl overdose to occur and kill an American citizen every 7 minutes.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. What are you going to walk down the hallway to the fucking DEA and ask them what the fuck they've been doing sleeping on the job? The FBI isn't singularly responsible for the drug epidemic in this country. And laying it at the feet of FBI agents when we have an entire drug enforcement agency that none of these motherfuckers have talked about cutting a single dollar from. None of them are like, wow, this is DEA stuff or ICE or Customs and Border Patrol. These would be the first. This would be the front line, or all the maggots in the Congress that wouldn't vote for the bipartisan border bill, which had all the machinery in it that was able to scan for drugs coming through and chemical precursors.
That prior FBI leadership, Comey, McCabe, left us an FBI that allowed for a woman or child to be raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. That same
That's what they did. So they allowed. So the FBI, by the way, the FBI is only involved in sexual assaults when it crosses state lines. Like, well, I think you're right. They could have gone after Matt Gaetz a little harder. So, let's see. Is this the hold on.
In America, there's a burglary every 11 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, so this is I'm not going to show it on screen because I'll get a copyright strike. This is the opening of the movie Cobra in 1986.
An armed robbery every 65 seconds.
An armed robbery every 65 seconds in 1986.
A violent crime every 25 seconds. A murder every 24 minutes. And 250 rapes a day.
250 rapes a day. That was I'll never forget, like, the opening of that. I'm a big fan of Cobra. I like the movie a lot. Most people don't know that Stallone wrote that as a comedy, and then it actually started to work, so he put it together. It was meant to be a spoof of his other movies, and then he just took out all the jokes, essentially, and whatever. Anyways, and made it a horror action film. But 250 rapes a day. That's borderline around the same number he's talking about. Yeah, it's in Trump's America. Right.
leadership structure left us an FBI that permitted a man or woman to be killed twice an hour in this country.
There's a murder every 24 minutes. Yeah, two times an hour. It was actually worse in 1986. It was, 2.2 people were killed an hour. The FBI, and by the way, the FBI doesn't do shit about murders, rapes, violent crime until it crosses state lines. Or it's involved in some sort of I guess if the dude's being paid with international funds to go kill people. If it's a hitman or something.
That's our response to them. When I go to Congress and I go to the Hill, I say, hey, I'm not police.
I say, hey, and that's the sound of me doing a rail of Adderall off the desk when I'm at fucking Chuck Grassley's office.
In your neighborhood because it's a Republican or Democratic. I'm asking you for help on what your priorities are and what your resources needs are and where you need training, and we're going to send them to you. That's why we're putting 1,500 FBI employees into the field and outside of Washington, D.C. Now, if the Democrats want to play politics with that, they're the elected officials. They get to say what they want. But yelling at me and Bongino, we could take it all day long.
Apparently not. You both look like you're at the fucking principal's office, getting your ass handed to you by the vice principal. And again, they didn't leave you. But I got news for you, asshole. You're gonna leave your predecessor or your I don't know. I don't know how long he'll be in. I doubt he'll stay in if I don't know if he'll make it to the end of Trump's term, but there's no way Kash Patel stays through a Democratic administration. There's just no fucking way. Both of them are going to beat feet the second that a Democrat is in office. But whoever they hand it over to, the numbers are going to be fairly close to the same. They vacillate around that number because we're a country of 340 million people and it's growing all the time, and that's just what happens.
I don't even understand why. Why did they do that? I mean, why put the FBI and its reputation at risk? Well, it was just to win an election? Why?
Because they're weak.
They're weak. I know, because I've seen the papers on there. Because they're weak. Shut the fuck up.
They're weak.
At least their pants fit.
I hate weak people. I can't stand it.
I hate weak people. Victims of crime especially. You're so weak and the criminals come and they do terrible things and then I have to come in there and then my desk is covered in all this shit.
We're on TV, so I already said BS once. But they didn't have the guts, the courage, or the character to do the right thing. They did the easy thing. Donald Trump became a convenient political football. They thought they could leverage. They thought they thought with the media on their side that they'd get away with it.
I know that there are...
Edit. Man, they're cutting the hell out of him. Did you notice that one too? Look at the tail end of this. He just rambles or swears and they have to cut it out. But this sucks.
They thought they thought with the media on their side that they'd get away with it.
I know that there are...
See that? Where they get away with a slice and then they bring her part in?
Cells, drug trafficking cells and human trafficking cells. How significant is this in America?
Yeah. Where are these cells? I hear all these cells. You hear cells, You do. You hear it. And you're like, yeah, I do. I hear it. Like, how much of these cells? Are they around? Are there a lot of them? Are there so many of them? I should be scared. Lucky you guys are here. Otherwise, nobody'd be doing anything about these cells.
It's everywhere. I mean, when you open...
It's everywhere. It's not everywhere. No, it's everywhere you are because you hang out at Mar-a-Lago and Doral.
The border, look, that's not a political statement. The border was open for 4 years. So what happens is crime metastasizes. What happens is you have hundreds of thousands of illegals come across.
Okay, by the way, human trafficking is not the... Let's be clear. Humans in traffic is not an example of human trafficking. And somebody being snuck across the border is not human trafficking. That's people paying coyotes to traffic them. They're not being trafficked. Being trafficked means you are being bought and sold. It's a euphemism for fucking slavery, okay? When they say human trafficking, that's what we're really talking about. We're either talking about women who are forced into the sex trade by pimps and boyfriends and can't get out of it, don't do it out of choice, aren't just making this decision and they're in danger of their lives, or someone who's kidnapped and put into forced labor or the sex trade or any of those things. That's human trafficking. Paying a coyote to give you a bus ride across the fucking the bridge or put you in the back of a truck to sneak you in is not human trafficking. And human trafficking of using that phrase loosely with people sneaking into the country, it really does a disservice to the people that are actually being trafficked. Right? This is so fucking lazy.
A bunch of them are really bad criminals. Not all of them, but a bunch of them.
Which one of the babies are? Which one of the babies with cancer are?
Then they nest into societies. And this is why we're rolling out Mexican street gang task forces across the country.
They nest into societies, because our society just is like a big open wound waiting to be infested with Mexican gangs. You mean the people, nobody nests into society in a fucking gang. They settle in opposition to the law enforcement and the local life. If they nest into the society, you know what that means? They settle down. They have a family. They get a job. They work under the table, but they bust their fucking ass every day doing really uncomfortable physical labor. Asshole.
Because it's not the international gangs that are just the problem. It's these inner city gangs that exist in one or two towns here and there. And
these inner city gangs that exist here and there in one or two towns here and there. I thought they were everywhere.
metastasized and taken over the drug trade, the sex trafficking trade, the child forced labor trade.
The forced labeling. I hate when they forced label a kid. Like, because when the kid grows up, you're like still labeled as a kid. You know what I mean? Also, has this motherfucker never seen like The Godfather or Scarface? Right? What? You think this is fucking new?
Not gang trade. They are all in, and no one has been focusing on them because our cities and our elected leadership has allowed them to live without being policed. But that's
Jesus Christ. No, they haven't. And you don't get to come in if they're based in unless you have evidence they're crossing a state line with something. And if somebody shows up there and they purchase a person, they are, I guess they would be a customer of that RICO thing, and you could arrest them and work your way up. But even in that circumstance, if they are engaged in human trafficking and that they are purchasing human beings, or they're purchasing drugs or guns and they're bringing them in, they're low on the totem pole in terms of how this shit's getting in. And the only thing you can do is arrest them and try to roll them up to try and get to the top of it, which is what fucking Crossfire Hurricane was for.
now that Dan and I are in the seat.
This is
Bullshit.
scary. What do you want to say to families out there?
Yeah, it's something scary about, there's gangs everywhere. They're everywhere.
Who are afraid for their young girls that they may get taken.
I want to put everyone at ease watching this today.
Yeah, I have a particular set of skills. I will find you, and I will kill you.
There is, I hate cliches, but there really is a new sheriff in town.
Oh, God. Uh-huh. Yeah. And he's a dipshit who keeps shooting himself in the foot. There's a new sheriff in town, and he's an asshole. So you're going to have to take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I would argue, talk to your local law enforcement, because we're really screwing the pooch up here. I honestly don't know what the fuck's going on. I got 10 things on my desk. You can't expect me to deal with this fucking shit. Look, if you can't find your fucking kid, what am I supposed to do? Just leave me the shit out of it, Maria. Why do you keep bringing this up? That's what we're here for, dude. Shut up!
His name's Donald J. Trump. This administration, in conjunction with General Bondi and our director, Kash Patel, I am in the briefing, Maria, with the five of us, Emil, the PDAG, Todd, the DAG, AG, Kash, and me, every morning over at DOJ.
And we have some, they have the extra crispy bacon in the cafeteria, and I yammer on about that for a little while. And then I walk into my office, and there's like 10 things, and they're all top 10 on my desk. And I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I was like, this isn't what I got in this for. I was supposed to be able to wear a cool outfit, and now I'm in a suit. What the shit? This is supposed to be macho. I don't feel macho. I feel like I'm in middle management.
The attitude every morning, from the president on down,
is panic. Sheer, unadulterated panic. How am I supposed to read all this shit? I don't even know who to hand it off to. Who works here besides me? Jeez, have we hired anybody else? Well, we had some people. We had to fire them. Why?
He, the president of the United States, wants this FBI to be able to, in 1 month, 6 months, a year, or 2 years, wants to be able to get out in front of the American people and say, your lives are noticeably different. He doesn't want fairy tales, Aesop's fables. He doesn't want any of that stuff. He wants people to be able to touch it and feel it. I don't care if you're in.
Yeah, well, I think that violates some laws in some states. I think, I don't care what he wants. It's about what the other person wants. Obviously, he has an issue with consent. Maybe you should talk to him about that. I'm fucking with you because you don't care.
Stewart, Florida, or Harlem, New York. He wants you to walk outside and say, wow, my neighborhood does look different.
Where are
Another edit. They're fucking tightening up Bongholio everywhere.
the biggest cells in the country? And how does
Yeah, where are the biggest cells in the country? Where are they? And I just want to know, because my husband and I are buying some rental properties. And where are the cells? Because I'm worried that we'll buy these things and they'll be like, there's a cell down the street and nobody told us, and we bought that.
work? Are there spotters? Like, how does it work?
Are there spotters? How does it work? What's the down on the street? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get a lesson in the cold, hard reality of the streets. Kash Patel's going to tell you how these cells work and the intricacies of how to spot them, because they're all wearing Chicago Bulls hats.
It's based on a variety of factors. So
It totally is. That is true. I've heard that. I totally nailed it. It is based on a variety of factors. If you ask the gang members, if you ever seen one of those like documentaries where some guy manages to talk them into letting them see the inside of the fucking meth lab, and they're like,
well, our whole thing is like based on a whole variety of factors.
comes to trafficking, you got to look at the interstate system and look at the intersections of the interstate system running.
that is true. Not the clover leaves. People always go, must be the clover leaves. And you go, nope. It's anywhere you're on a highway and there's oddly a stop sign in the middle of it. And you're like, where the fuck are we in this podunk fucking state that there's a stop sign in the middle of the highway? And like, well, this is the intersection. This is, what is this? This is where you pick up a piece of ass. This is a whole area.
Midwest and across the country. Then you just got to look for hard evidence. I didn't know this till.
You didn't know you had to look for hard evidence? Hold on. Huh? You gotta look for hard evidence. Really? You know, hard. You do? You have to look for it. It's not just there.
And across the country. Then you just got to look for hard evidence. I didn't know this till my confirmation process, but Memphis, Tennessee is the homicide capital of America per capita.
Right. And it's been that way since Elon Musk built his weird little AI there. We think there are machines going out at night and killing people, but we don't know. Bongholio would get down there, but he's got too much shit on his desk and he's overwhelmed. And you just can't ask him because he gets all mad and he starts going, I never like the bacon anyways. And then he storms out and General Bondi has to go and calm him the fuck down. Per capita. Really? They don't have a Democratic mayor, I don't think.
Know that. We have a problem there.
First of all, you didn't know that? Maybe, I don't know, during your confirmation, maybe look it up. Also, Bakersfield, anybody?
We're now addressing it. We're rolling out one of our task forces in the state of Tennessee. But we also know that Ohio possesses the roadway system where the trafficking is through the roof just because of the interstate. So,
well, that and Jim Jordan, I mean, he's literally the congressional delegate for looking the other way. I mean, if you really want to engage in some really hinky shit, you want to do it in Jim Jordan's district because he's literally, you know, fish stinks from the head and he's probably directing everybody to just look away and ignore it and pretend you never saw it.
you have to get out there.
So Ohio and Tennessee. All right, way to fuck up the whole country, Ohio and Tennessee.
In the field, not just let the FBI agents and intel folks get out there and do the work, but partner with state and local law enforcement.
Hold on. You didn't find that out by going out in the field. You didn't walk into the middle of a fucking intersection in Ohio and go, wait a minute. Hold on. 3, 4, 7, carry the 2. Holy shit. This is the biggest intersection of human trafficking in the country. In Fayetteville, how did that happen? Right? You didn't go down to fucking Memphis and go, do you hear that? I've been counting shots like lightning and thunder all fucking, and they're getting closer. You might want to, somebody needs to check my math on this, but I'm pretty sure Memphis is per capita the most dangerous place to live in the country in terms of murder. Hold on.
And you know, when you say per capita, there's many per capitas. It's like per capita relative to what?
Which is a priority, and tribal law enforcement. That's a big, big deal for us. We are not forgetting about Indian country. They suffer from the same violent crime that we do in the rest of America, and we're going to...
Yeah, we know Democrats have, you know, you're way behind us on giving a shit about that. We've been giving a shit about that a lot longer than you. We're the ones that bugged every Republican governor, leader of the Republican Party, any of the congressional people around there about missing women and that kind of stuff. And you guys were like, it's not our fucking problem. So now it all of a sudden is.
Help them. And that's how you learn the ground-based level facts that you need to deploy.
Okay, those aren't ground-based level facts. Those are statistics, you tit. She just asked you what the ground-based level facts are. Like, how does it work? Is there like one guy and there's like 2 winks, and if this guy gives you a middle finger, you bring him a small bag, and if he gives you a peace sign, you bring him the big, like, you know, I don't know, loaf that looks like one of those Dos Manos burritos that you get that's like this big or whatever, they're like just white powder and stuff like that. And when you test it by sticking your knife in there as an undercover agent, is there a reason you lick it and you go, pff, or can you get high from the taste of it, or it just numbs your tongue and that's why you go, pff, or do you just go do what Don Jr. does and just blaze the fucking end of the knife just pff, like that and go, that's the real shit, you know? Or do you use one of those little blue things and you shake it up and look like a scientist?
assets. We're not coming up with anything fancy. We're just attacking the problem, but we're smart enough to go after the information and say, that's where the problem is because you told us it's there.
Going after the information because while I was sitting here at my desk, which is covered in a lot of shit that I'm never going to get to by the end of the day, and it's a lot, Maria, it's a fucking lot. And then this asshole comes into my office and he's like, giving me another problem. And I'm like, hey, dude, thanks a lot. Put it on the fucking pile. I'll get to it eventually. You're like, what's the problem? No shit. God damn.
You know, we're going.
That's interesting. What about the big cities? I mean, we've heard about Tren de Aragua being in New York City.
Oh my God. Oh my God, there was Tren de Aragua in New York City? And New York City is normally such a gang-free, peaceful place, especially during the 70s and 80s.
We're about to ruin your summer if you're a bad guy. So I'm just warning you now, like, don't buy movie tickets because you're probably not going to cash them in. So the director...
Is that how movie tickets work, really?
I put something together in conjunction with our DOJ partners, General Bondi and Dag Blanche, actually this morning. And if you're a violent criminal, this FBI under our leadership, we don't care who gets the credit. All we care about is making your streets safer, actually safer.
Man, they cannot let him get a whole fucking answer out without cutting something of it off. Like, even whatever he said right there, they literally just cut the audio on it before they went to the track. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know what other choice they have. Cut back to her going,
Coming up, the assassination attempts on President Trump's life. Why don't we know more today, more than a year later?
I know. Because there's nothing really to know, and we basically know all that's important to know about this, and there is no big conspiracy behind it, and so they're just ignoring it because both of these guys were maggots. Both of them were, pro-Trump and had listened to Alex Jones, and the more they dig, the more they find out that these people actually thought Trump wasn't Trumpy enough at certain times, and so yeah, that's why. Oh, and you got these two dickheads running things, so they're not going to tell you.
As we continue, our exclusive.
Shut up.
Any active investigation. So
Hold on.
I want to get to a few specifics, and I know you can't talk about any active investigations.
No, you can't. They also, not just because you shouldn't, but because they're both stupid. They both don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're both talking out of their ass. They have no details to give you, Maria. None. You just asked him for a very simple, breakdown of how, some of the drug groups work. Like, what's the hierarchy? How do they operate? What details do we know? And he shit the bed and told you some statistic. Like, I had no idea meth was, dangerous. What the fuck?
And our viewers understand that. But how come...
Yeah, they totally do.
We don't have more information on the assassination attempts on President Trump.
There's two reasons.
Him and him. I'm an idiot and he's a fuckhead. So I don't know what to tell you. Dumb and dumber. That's their two reasons.
Open, ongoing prosecutions. So.
Against the dead guy? I mean, the guy in Florida never got a shot off, so whatever the fuck. But the guy who's dead, what are you waiting for?
Two of the investigations are obviously closed because the individuals are dead. But there's two live prosecutions. And so we can't get ahead of the federal court case.
What?
A lot of that information will come out in the federal court cases.
Hold on. How many? The other dude isn't dead. The Florida dude got arrested. He's in jail. One of them's dead. So talk about the dead guy, dummy.
But we have personally invested our time in making sure that we have...
He's so mad she's asking him these questions. Fuck you, Maria. God damn it. Do you have any idea how much shit I have on my desk? This is a lot. It's a lot, okay? You think I'm going to get to this right away? It's just 2 presidential assassinations during a campaign year. What do you want from me? I got everything on my desk that's important. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for you and your ass face.
Looked at any possible international connections to terrorism and adversaries alike. And we've both been down to Quantico. We've both done the...
I'm sorry, terrorists and adversaries? Are we not adversarial towards terrorists anymore? I guess not, since Trump's friends with Qatar.
Laboratory testing. We've both seen the explosives analysis. We've both seen the firearm and physically held it. We are all.
And you've both seen the firearm and physically held. Did you chub a little? The fuck does that have to do with anything? We know there was a gun involved, dummy. That's not a. So that was actually a gun? He actually had a gun? He had it? Did he?
On these investigations.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
No. We're going to. No. You're going to hear more bullshit.
You know what, Maria?
Listen, Maria, you and your fucking bullshit. Am I? Does he, like, he might have a chip on his shoulder from just when he used to work at Fox. Did he always hate her?
Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single
Yeah, she didn't expect him that he was kidding, dipshit.
detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you.
Right, so the dude in fucking Butler was a lone asshole, and there was no real big failure like they said. You know, it was just normal people screwing up. If they hadn't pulled the two guys that were in that little tower area from their position to go look for the shooter on the ground, they'd have seen him crawl up on the roof and shot him faster. But since they were pulled to go look because they saw somebody walking around and nobody saw him jump up there, by the time he jumped up, they had left their little perch. They had a perfect view of where he was, and they'd been asked to move away. That's why. That's what happened. They should have stayed where they were, and other people should have covered the grounds. That would have been that, and it wouldn't have been a thing at all. That's the reality. One guy by himself, fixated, stupid, in fucking Butler, and Trump's stupid advance team because he moved his shit around or he made last minute decisions and they didn't have time to clear these fucking things, and they weren't able to make a full analysis of where this shit. Did I jump out? Am I good? Am I right? They weren't able to do a full analysis of the space to see if it was safe or look for weaknesses in it and all that kind of stuff, right? That's the reality of it. And what maggots want to hear is that deep state was behind it, Biden hired the guy, right? Or what? Some bullshit. That the Chinese paid Hunter Biden to deliver the guy the gun in a hatchback of an electric car, right?
If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know.
You hear that, Alex Jones? You hear that, maggots? Too bad. Sorry, stupid. You lame. You suck. You weak. And he hates weak people. He already told you that. You know all that bullshit he told you about there had to be some sort of big, underlying, this can never happen, and it was clearly, it wasn't just a failure, this was a conspiracy, and all that shit he said, that was just bullshit, Joel. I'm here to tell you. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, this is my wrong one. Hold on.
That was just bullshit, Joel.
Mm-hmm. And this is his message for all of MAGA right now. Fuck you. Sorry, nothing there. There was no cover-up, no nothing. And the standard story, the status quo will continue on.
People, I get it. I understand.
I don't think you do, because you started it and now you can't finish it. You found out once you got in there that you personally had been full of shit. Now, what you do in these moments is, I know that when I wasn't in this position that I told a lot of people that I had suspicions about it, and I looked into it, and my suspicions were satisfied. There wasn't anything past there, but we got to make sure that no one can shoot at the president again. That's how you handle it if you have any fucking chutzpah at all. If you have any huevos, and he does not. He's weak. That's why. That's why he's freaking out at Maria Bartiromo for asking an obvious question.
Not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
Well, the other issue that's been talked about recently is this mortgage fraud.
and the FBI opening a formal case against Letitia James.
So again, ongoing cases, and we take our ongoing investigations very seriously because
Totally. We take them very seriously. Like, they're super serious.
we don't want to do what our predecessors did, which is talk about them ad infinitum in the public, and then nothing happens. This
We're going to keep quiet about them, and then nothing will happen.
case, I can tell you, is being handled by our professional pros.
Really? You have professional pros? Wow. That's amazing. So these people work at going to work. They work at a place where they work? I don't know how professional you can be to be a professional pro. Holy shit. Where's the word pro come from anyways? I'm trying to think, what's the etymology of that? Anybody know? we have professional pros. God damn. I wish we had one of them professional pros. You know what I'm saying?
Gee, I wish we had one of them doomsday machines.
Our subject matter experts reporting directly to headquarters, which reports to Dan and I. This case.
Wait a minute. So you're not in headquarters? Oh, right. You're at a UFC game, dicking around. Jesus Christ. This is the saddest day of Bongholio's life. He hasn't been this sad since he talked to his wife, and nobody at the office can stand his breath. He knows that this work will be his early death. It drives him crazy to wear a suit. Doot, doot. He sits in his office and toot, toot, toot. He's bored to tears that he's got so many fears. And goddamn Maria, don't you understand freedom that I don't like your stupid questions? Ladies and gentlemen, that's from a band called The Professional Pros. Yeah.
Others, because it is a case of great public importance. And unlike other leaders who previously...
Like, I won't even say, okay? Are you threatening me? That, like, unlike other people, okay?
sat in these seats, we don't prejudge any case. We don't care what party elected you to what. It doesn't
Yeah, you do. That's why you're in trouble, asshole.
matter to us. It's irrelevant. If you broke the law, we are going to find out and we are going to investigate you.
And if you told this to Trump, because I feel like it would make him upset.
We are going to discuss that matter with the Department of Justice. And this is one of the things that your viewers take away nothing else from this interview.
And I hope they take nothing away from this interview, but nothing else.
The FBI does not make prosecutorial decisions. You asked in the beginning how the FBI was weaponized. Well, the FBI hijacked the constitutional responsibility of the Department of Justice and the Attorney General, and James Comey and others specifically decided what cases to prosecute and not prosecute. Don't believe me? Go to the videotape in the Hillary Clinton investigation. We don't decide prosecutions, and neither does any.
Dude, you don't even decide what your day looks like. Yeah, trust me. I don't think you do any of the fucking work, dummy. None of us do. You're not going to, and you're sure shit not going to do any extra work when you can't even do the work you're supposed to fucking do. You go down and fucking fondle the gun that took a pot shot at Trump. Who gives a shit? What'd you do? Go, yep, that's a real gun, all right. I thought it would be inflatable.
Agent or intel analyst. We have great partners under General Bondi. We work with them and discuss the matter with them, but the prosecutorial decision is with them.
So is there a directive now to focus on fighting real crime, look at illegal migration, look at the sex trafficking and skip?
Yes, believe me, Maria, don't worry about it. All day long, Kash and Dan Bongholio sit at their desks looking at sex trafficking. In a manner of speaking. They don't download it. I think they just watch it on whatever site is available to them. There's got to be so much video in the files there at the FBI. You'd never, yeah. So yeah, they're taking a look at. Don't worry, okay? I don't want you to worry. They, honest to God, like they are looking at the sex trafficking. They're giving it a good, solid look.
Back on the white collar business type crime?
I don't want to say that we were going to, quote unquote, scale back. What we do is we look at the intelligence and we rely on our 36,000 employees to say.
Why would you rely on the 36,000 employees? I thought you were getting into the field, asshole. I thought that was the point. You don't rely on what everybody tells you. You go in there and you stand there at a fucking intersection in Ohio and go, God damn, there's a lot of illegals running around here. And you go down to Memphis and go, Jesus Christ, could somebody drive me to my car? It's scary, you know, and then you make a note in your diary. Dear diary, it's me, Cash. Today was very scary. I was in Memphis, and it was a bang, bang, shoot 'em up place, and I thought it'd be all Graceland and Beale Street, and I didn't understand it all, and I'm not going back there again unless somebody else cleans that shit out. Oh, yeah, he's for-whiting it all over the place.
This is where stuff's going wrong. But right now, the reality of where stuff's going wrong more than counterterrorism, which is my wheelhouse and my background, is the narcotics industry and the sex trafficking industry. So there's more and more resources put on that and on the removal proceedings, which we're working with our partners at DHS on.
So why are you cutting resources if you don't have enough resources to handle the three major things? You fuck me.
It's the reality today. But that's not to say we're forgetting about white-collar crime and counterterrorism.
That's what you said. You said if you're hurting a child, taking away a child's innocence, we're coming for you.
Yeah, with that knock at the door.
Yeah, that knock at the door is coming.
It's on Amazon. That's going to be us.
No, it isn't. It's going to be the U.S. Marshals.
Your job. And Maria, not only does it destroy innocence.
Okay, first of all, fuck you. Like, the FBI didn't invent going after, like child traffickers because you assholes showed up. And again, the last two FBI agents that were killed in the field were murdered in Florida, arresting a guy for child porn charges, and he opened fire and killed two of them in Florida. Shocking, right? With home of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and Matt Gaetz.
I said to everyone in the room, say week 2 or 3, when Cash and I put Restoring Justice together to go get these mutts off the street, these kitty pornographers and these animals, right? I said to everyone in the room, I said, you know why this is going to matter to America? Because everyone in the room is a child or a parent, right? There's no immaculate conceptions here, right? I love Jesus, but there's no one in the room, right? I said...
Right? I said it, right? Like, everybody gets this. It'll totally sell. You don't understand, Maria, okay? People will get this. They were a kid once, or they have a kid, or they don't have kids yet, and they don't really remember being a kid, but they can they know what kids... They've seen kids, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? Are you threatening me? This is so stupid.
This matters. And not only that, it creates generational crime because abused kids then become abusers in a lot of these cases. I said,
no, they don't. Not in a lot of these cases. No, you don't get to write off victims like that.
Have a chance right now. I said, we got to go make their lives painful, these bad guys. And we went and we locked up in a month, 400? We saved 115 kids. And you haven't even seen the beginning because those 400, a lot of them are talking. And when you log onto that network next, you have no idea what we're doing. You think you're safe in your dark web? I promise you are absolutely not safe. You have no idea what we can do.
Are you seeing an increase?
Great. Way to tell them to change how they do stuff, stupid. Hey, you know that place you gather where we were going to catch you? You better not show up there again. Jesus Christ.
In the number of potential agents wanting to come in and work with you?
Look, the FBI is 38,000 when we're fully manned, which we're not. In the National Capital Region, in the 50-mile radius around Washington, D.C., there were 11,000 FBI employees. That's like a third of the workforce. A third of the crime doesn't happen here. So we're taking 1,500.
Right. But you're not responsible for state crime. It's interstate crime. And all the information on all these places is largely passes through D.C. You're the federal police force. You're not regular cops.
Folks and moving them out. Every state's getting a plus up. And I think when we do things like that, we inspire folks in America to become intel analysts and agents and say, we want to go work at the FBI because we want to go fight violent crime and we want to get sent out into the country to do it. And that's...
Dude, you're not going to be Jodie Foster. Nothing increased the number of people since fucking Hoover like Silence of the Lambs. This is just dumb. And I thought the numbers were through the roof right now because Trump is amazing and they like the military and cops and firefighters, everybody's joining.
we're doing in the next 3, 6, 9 months. We're going to do that hard. And, you know, I didn't know that I was going to do this, but I'm going to announce it on your show anyway. This FBI is leaving the Hoover building because this building is unsafe for our workforce, and we want the workforce.
He just gave up a big nugget there.
But we want the American men and women to know, if you're going to come work at the premier law enforcement agency in the world, we're going to give you a building that's commensurate with that. And that's not this place.
I mean,
Jesus Christ. Trump's the one who's been shooting down the new building. You're going to go bitch about what everybody's been trying to fix? They put it in the budget. They were going to fix it, and then you kill the goddamn thing. And now you're like, we can't work here.
Administration has proposed a $500 million cut to the FBI's funding for 20.
Yeah, but that's largely for white-collar crime and people who run modeling agencies. I think they're looking into those folks. It's expensive work, and it doesn't really pay off much.
26. How are you going to maintain the effectiveness if you don't have the resources?
Excuse me, that assumes that they are already effective.
We got to get smart and stop wasting money. We got to stop.
Oh, so you're stepping down, I see.
Thinking up fantasies in Maryland and building $5 billion new buildings. We have people who are able to do the job on the budgets we're given. And we are going to work with the president and his team because he and his team know they have to budget for an entire government. I just got to worry about one agency. So does he. Yeah. And their job is...
Yeah, I got to worry about budgets now. Yeah. Fuck, I hate weak people. Like accountants. You ever try to choke a calculator and make it do what it's supposed to do? The numbers still say you're wrong. Yeah.
Times harder than ours. They have to say, DOD's got to get this. What about DOT? What about Justice and Marshals? And what about Treasury? So we know that they are smartly putting together a budget. And we...
Do you? Since when?
To know that there's ramifications from people here that weaponize this place and a cost to that. We're always going to fight for our personnel and for as much.
That was just gibberish. So the cost of so the budget cuts are basically revenge from Trump is what he's saying, and they're going to have to tighten their fucking belts because he's mad. They're going to have to fire a bunch of people that are necessary to protecting people from human trafficking and drug smugglers and gun runners and terrorism. They're going to have to cut that because Trump's butthurt, because these assholes sold him a bill of goods that didn't pay out.
Money as we can get. But I think when we show you real-time examples of getting out of places like this, because just to fix this building would cost billions of dollars only for a couple of years of runway, it shows you that we're serious about saving and being good stewards of the taxpayer dollars and hiring more agents.
No, it wouldn't. That doesn't say that to me at all. The federal system should be centrally located so they can coordinate. Why would you want them spread out all over the place? Because it would just give more opportunities for bad actors to break into the system and its connectivity. I mean, I guess arguably you're going to have to ratchet up the communication system amongst the FBI offices so that they're on the same level as the military or greater higher.
Instead of building new buildings.
So what are your colleagues saying about this, that you're going to get out of the Hoover building?
Well, he's a man of his word. I mean, he said that he was interested in shutting down Hoover, and I don't think people took him seriously. And it's been 2 months, and I think it's good that he broke it on your show, because me and him were on the tour yesterday of an alternate facility where the building we're looking at, and everyone was taking pictures, and they knew something was up because me and him were there. So that's good you guys got it first. But Kash could have made a pretty easy decision, which is go up to Congress and say, hey, you know what? We're going to go back and ask for this $1 billion new facility. And you know what he said? He said, go find us a place already up and running. We can go in. Well, it's going to need some upgrades, you know, skiffs where we can talk, safes, that kind of thing. Obviously, some security upgrades in the front.
Obviously, a few. Yeah.
Saving the taxpayer a fortune.
So are you going to move 1,000 employees from Washington to field offices across the country?
1,500.
1,500.
We are. We are already launched that plan, and...
Will that do any good?
Looked at...
They're going to Alabama?
Well, so Redstone Arsenal is one of the crown jewels of the FBI, and it's on a military campus of 38,000 acres in Huntsville, Alabama. And the
Yes, where all the people from Operation Paperclip were sent, because Huntsville looks like Deutschland in the summertime. It would be wonderful.
Guy built 5 new buildings.
Springtime for Hitler and Germany. Brum, 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 brum. Deutschland is happy and gay.
There, and a kinetic cyber training facility, a long-range facility, our terrorism explosive device centers there. So when you go and you want to become a new FBI agent, we send you to Quantico. When you're in the job for a couple of years and you need advanced training, you go to Huntsville. And because we've had new buildings and new structures already there, we need our outdated facilities and personnel to move to Huntsville, where the training has been set up for them, and fill those seats. We don't need to build new buildings elsewhere. So a chunk of them are going there because it's essentially headquarters too, for lack of a better word. But the rest of the folks, we've looked at the map and we said, where are the worst crime spots in America? That's how we're choosing where the agents and intel folks go. Then our leaders in the field are working with state, local, and tribal leaders to say, hey, we've got a serious problem on Navajo, or we've got a big deal going on outside of Chicago. Those agents and intel analysts are going.
Yeah, and I guess the idea is that if they're going to a bagel shop near the crime itself, they'll have a keener insight into it.
At their direction, based on ground level intelligence. You want to make your promotions, go make cases in the field, and you're getting promoted under this leadership structure. You don't.
To where? You get promoted to where? Higher rank within the exact same field office? So you never move up the chain? So you basically boil down the leadership at the FBI into a small office where nobody's looking over your fucking shoulder? Because that's essentially what it's doing. Like, these guys don't want FBI agents who are suspicious by nature and good investigators and have a keen eye for bullshit looking at them every day. They want these guys out in the field in the rest of the country so they don't have to look them in the eye. That's what this is about. They want the FBI office in D.C. to be like a White House, not a coordinating space like the Pentagon. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. Sorry, lagging behind because I missed the beginning of the show. No worries. Thank you for being here at all. Adore you. Thank you.
Have to come to Washington. One of the biggest cost-saving things we did was we ended this TDY boondoggle to D.C. that has been institutionalized by prior leadership, mandating you come here. And here's the kicker. Not only do you get your salary, you get a per diem TDY for your entire 18-month tour. That's over.
Right. And that way we can guarantee that no one will be looking over our shoulder and no one will be giving us a run for our money. And when time comes to replace us, there won't be anybody in that power position because we broomed them all out into the field. And that way we can stiff arm anybody that would show us how shit actually works. That's what this is really about. Understand? Like, they're moving these people out because they want to be in a leadership role in an office where no one's like dealing with them all the time. They want to shrink the workforce down there to like a small administrative group, so they don't have to be around the rest of the agents the rest of the time unless they're doing like tours like Hegseth, doing fucking PT with them or going to shooting ranges. Oh, it's not over yet. Almost done, Oliver.
What actually happened on January 6th?
Donald Trump told a bunch of his people to walk down there and he would be going with them. And he said, walk down there peacefully and patriotically. But when you get there, if Pence doesn't do the right thing and the Republicans aren't strong, you're going to have to be strong or we're not going to have a country. So basically, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. And then they were already storming the place because Alex Jones and his buddies have been working in conjunction with Steve Bannon and all these assholes at the Mayflower or wherever they were gathering with Roger Stone and those fuckers to bring in people that would have a strategy to attack the building where they would pause the vote so that they could force their votes through. And they'd figure, well, the president's already in. They would do kind of a violent version of like Bush v. Gore. Well, we already said he won, so we don't want to walk it back. And that's what happened. Oh, and Ashley Babbitt brought a knife.
So there is, it seems that I find myself in a similar situation as Russiagate. Because on January 6th, in the prior Trump administration, I was the chief of staff to the Department of Defense. And I spent 4 years in a minor fortune litigating the truth because people politicized what actually happened on January 6th.
January 6th was political.
And we now know unequivocally that President Trump lawfully authorized the deployment of National Guard, and me, as the head of the Office of Secretary of Defense, with the Secretary of Defense, took that action. When it finally came in, because it had to have the governor and mayor of D.C.'s approval on it, that's the way the law works.
Fuck off.
And once it finally came in on January 6th, remember, we offered to them days beforehand, and they rejected.
Yeah, okay, fuck this. No, we're not even going there. They shouldn't, asshole, they should not have needed armed guards to protect the Capitol from Trump's asshole followers. They shouldn't have needed it. Even if they turned it down, why would they even suspect that these motherfuckers would actually storm the fucking place? Like, looking back, we now know you guys had planned this for a while. But let's be completely honest. Nobody should have to worry about disenfranchised voters who don't like the turnout attacking the fucking Capitol to try and stop the voting process so that they can hang Mike Pence, so that they can force through their version of leadership. That shouldn't be necessary. And by the way, there were enough people there. There were enough cops there if they wanted to open fire. If the cops had just started shooting, they'd have killed a bunch of people and everybody else would have run away. And a couple of people who brought guns would have probably killed some cops, and it would have been fucking awful. So the diversionary tactic to walk people through hallways and empty them back out into the side parking lot, which is exactly what they fucking did, while they helped everybody in the Senate and the House escape so that none of these dumb fucks could kill them, was a great strategy considering the circumstance, because the alternative was to fucking kill these dipshits. That's what happened. Was it an insurrection? No. It was a failed insurrection. It was an attempted insurrection run by a bunch of dipshits and clowns and egomaniacs. And in many cases, pedophiles and wife beaters, according to the people that Trump has let out. So, okay, here we go. This guy, one second. Yeah, here you go. Houston man pardoned for Jan 6 crimes, arrested on 2016 charge for online solicitation of a minor. Andrew Take was one of more than 1,500 people pardoned by President Trump by AutoPen, by the way. There's no fucking way he signed all of those pardons. Why are people, when the AutoPen story is brought up with Biden, I want to know why, if people are going to say, Biden used an AutoPen for stuff. Well, if he says yes to that pile of stuff, I've looked through it, that's fine. They could do all the signing with the machine if you want to. The idea that Trump signed all these by hand is just stupid. Didn't happen. Shut the fuck up. Okay. It was more than 1,500 people pardoned by Trump last month for crimes related to the 2021 attack. He still faces a criminal charge in Harris County stemming from 2016. Was sentenced to 6 years in prison in June of 2024 after pleading guilty to assaulting police officers with bear spray and a whip-like weapon during the attack in D.C. He was released from federal prison in Florence, Colorado on January 20th after he and more than 15 others were pardoned by Trump. At approximately 11:30 a.m. on Thursday, he was taken into custody in Leon County, located 2 hours north of Houston. According to the DA's office, the arrest occurred after a surveillance operation with the assistance of multiple law enforcement agencies. We would like to thank the coordinated efforts of our office's Fugitive Apprehension Section, Leon County Sheriff's Office, and Texas Department of Public Safety for their diligence in getting this suspect child predator back into custody. Trump pardoned a child predator. This was an open case, by the way, for this fucking guy. And the reason the fugitive task force, I think, was after him was because he knew that they were going to come after him after he was let out for this thing. After he's let out for January 6th. The defense attorney listed for, they said online court did not immediately respond. According to Harris County court documents, he's accused of pursuing a sexual relationship with an individual he knew to be under the age of 17 via an online messaging service. The case was still pending in Harris County when he was arrested. Late last month, the DA's office said it had asked several federal employees to hold him in Colorado due to his pending warrant in Texas. So the idea that Trump did not know about this, there are other ones too, but this is crucial. Like, Somebody needs to ask him, like this dickhead, about this guy. So why did Trump pardon a guy who had an open warrant for being a child predator from Texas?
We've put out the letters, and your show has done great coverage showing how it was rejected. We mobilized the fastest cold start in Washington, D.C. since World War II, and the largest occupation of D.C. by the National Guard since the American Revolution. That's what happened on January 6th, but what you and your viewers want to know, now that we've beat back that disinformation campaign with actual truth, is what was the FBI doing? Well, we got answers coming. We just found a
Yeah, they're coming.
trove of information, and it's on its way to Capitol Hill right now. And they've asked, and they're getting that.
Edit. It's on its way to Capitol Hill right now. Edit. Listen.
Found a trove of information, and it's on its way to Capitol Hill right now. And they've asked, and they're getting them, and you're getting answers on January 6th.
See that cut? They're slicing the shit out of this. There's a probably an FBI lawyer standing right off the side of it going, yeah, we can't say that. We can't bring that up. Cut that little piece out. These words can't be in there. That's what they're talking about. Yeah, everything's fucking 2 weeks.
You're getting answers on what sourcing was utilized, what money was utilized, how many assets were utilized, who made those decisions.
And how many of these assholes were red-handed, caught by their own videos that they posted live on Facebook? How about that? How about nobody needed to be snitched on because these motherfuckers were live streaming it?
We can only control the FBI, but you're getting it from the FBI.
Were there FBI agents undercover egging people on?
No.
Like I said, that answer is coming.
No. That answer is no.
And it's on its way to Congress.
You're
no.
about to, I saw it. I saw the portfolio of information. We dug far and wide to find it. And I'm pretty sure now we have a conclusive, definitive answer.
Yeah, and the answer is no, fuckhead.
You and the public are going to have it. You're going to see it in writing over to Capitol Hill.
In writing, really? You're not using semaphore or signal flares?
I just want to be sure we're clear.
I'll bet on that, real Barney sauce. I'm telling, and Bernays sauce. Don't get saucy with me, Bernays.
Been an agent and a police officer. There is a difference between an agent. I know you know this. I don't mean to.
See, that's what I'm talking about. They've got informants. That's because a lot of these people went, oh shit, this is going too far. And they called the FBI on their fucking friends after the fact because they knew they were looking for people who attacked police officers on the day and like, shit, I didn't do it. And I'm on video. I'm right next to the fucking guy. And I know you guys are going to knock on my fucking door. So it was his idea. That's what they're talking about. These weren't agents. Fuck this dude.
Officer. There is a difference between an agent. I know you know this. I don't mean to sound ridiculous. An agent, meaning a trained GS 1811 federal agent, and a source or an asset. There's a difference. So when you.
Right. Yeah, we know that. So I look forward to you letting all the maggots down easy.
See the material, which I promise you is coming. Again, I'm not asking you to trust us. I know it's coming because I saw it yesterday. When you see it, I just.
Yeah, what you're going to see is that some people were there who called the fucking FBI, and other people had spoken to the FBI before because they thought they were aligned with Trump, so they thought they were part of it. They were going to inform on Antifa while they were there, and they turned in some people they thought were Antifa, and it turned out to be other maggots.
You understand that it's not an apology for anything.
Thank you.
But there's a difference between agents and assets.
That is important. It's important. It is important. It's fucking stupid. Everybody knows this.
Yeah.
And I just hope when people put that information out there, they make the distinction. Not that it's better or worse.
No. You guys have been the ones not making the distinction. I've been saying this all along, that if there's ever any of this shit that's coming up, it's because people who called the FBI and were an asset turned other people in because they were fucking pedos and wife beaters and violent extremists, and they were talking real shit about hanging people, and they're like, I don't want to be a part of this. I walked up the steps and I was all caught up in it, but I didn't punch any cops, and this motherfucker was beating somebody with a flagpole, and I saw him, and his name's Dave. Like, that's who they're talking about. But this idea that, like, there were agents in there, the fucking maggot whisperers, like Ray Epps or something, walking up, working, I got a signal from my FBI handler. attack now. And then all these people like fucking Manchurian candidates heard the perfect phrase and start like zombie attacking the fucking Capitol. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. And that's what he's setting up. I would like to say for the record, that's what he's setting up. These dumb motherfuckers were saying they got FBI agents dressed up as maggots. That's what they thought. That's what they've been saying, and that is the lie that this dickhead and Kash Patel have allowed to like flow freely from their own show and other shows without pushing back on it, because they're assholes, and they were more than happy to hang real FBI agents out to fucking dry. The people who show up in it with a jacket that says FBI on it to arrest child traffickers and gangsters and shit like that. And these motherfuckers were happy to stand on their necks while Biden was in office. And now that they're in power, they're like, well, you know, it's not an agent per se. I mean, there's a difference. But like a guy who called in, shut the fuck up.
But there's a distinction there.
It's a very important distinction.
Yeah, and you should start making it, Maria.
I want to level set here. I want the American public to go back and look at what our predecessors stated to Congress under oath, that there were no FBI sources utilized in and around January 6th. I'm going to leave.
That's not what they said. That's not what they said. That is not what was said. That's not what Chris Wray said at all. That's not any of it. They never said there was no sources used around January 6th. They would never even say that. They were like, we don't talk about sources and methods. Horseshit. That's not what they said. He's lying. And again, you want to restore trust to the FBI? Maybe be a man of your fucking word.
That, but go play the videotape and look for this material coming to Congress.
Gibberish.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as some...
Yeah, they can be as stupid as they want to be, Maria, okay? I don't know who the fuck they were talking to and where they heard it from, that look, one of his best friends in the world was president at the time of his arrest. The stuff that was gathered from his island hideaway has all but vanished. If you can't trust that, I don't know what to tell you.
Who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing.
None of this is meaningful. What the fuck are you talking about? I've seen what bars look like. I've watched several episodes of Law and Order.
You know a suicide when you see one.
So you watched it happen on video? Do you?
That's what that was.
He killed himself.
Boom. Fuck you, Alex Jones. Fuck you, Glenn Beck, and you shitheels. All you lazy, deep state motherfuckers. Boo-hoo, fucking you. Your guys say he killed himself. End of fucking story. I don't have to believe them because I don't like either one of them. They can go fuck themselves, but you have to. If we got any maggots in the chat, explain to me any other reason that exists why these two assholes would lie about this other than the fact that Donald Trump was his best friend for a quarter century.
You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
I know it's hard work, but
yeah, reading, looking at things. You've seen the whole file, and your desk is covered in things.
You promoted Stephen Jensen, the architect of the FBI's overzealous January 6th investigation.
I want the American public...
Edit. Another one. Look at this. Fuck, they're chopping the shit out of this. Watch.
The FBI's overzealous January 6th investigation.
I want the American public to realize what we did. That man was in a position where he literally fought back against the machine who was saying, we want to politicize this event. We want to politicize this event. And at the end of the day, remember, Maria, there's a chain of command here. So you can...
Again, where is this coming from? Where is this idea that people are trying to politicize January 6th? It was a political attack. The losing side engaged in violence. What are you talking? This wasn't like it wasn't like independence showed up in mass to show their disdain for the system as a whole.
Back your chain of command to a certain degree before they fire you. And Steve Jensen and other folks were promoted because they embody what the American public demands of FBI agents.
To get to the bottom of something like January 6th and the pipe bomber case, for example, you need three things. You need people, you need
Right, which Doge is firing.
information, and
You need information, which is somewhere on your desk under all the 10 things that are all top 10 things that you have to 10 about.
people with information.
What? Oh, shit. I didn't realize he was going to get deep in the read. So let me explain this to you. You need three things. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information. Is that what he said?
What the American public demands of FBI agents.
To get to the bottom of something like January 6th and the pipe
Yeah.
bomber case, for example,
Uh-huh.
you need three things. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information.
Thanks. Wow. That's amazing.
He's a genius, eh?
Oh, that is, give it up for Bongholio. I thought we'd heard the vast majority of the word salad bullshit. That's amazing.
Oh, hello there.
Good God, man. This is the deputy director of the
Bottom of something like January 6th and
to get to the bottom of something like January 6th and the bomber case.
pipe bomber case, for example.
Uh-huh.
You
For
need
example, you need three things. Three.
You need people, you need information, and you need people with information.
How does the whole room not just go, whoa, what the fuck? What are you talking about? How does everybody that's filming this not go, oh, ooh, ouch. They gotta, like, your whole team is standing there. Her whole team is standing there. Like, do they have a sign that says, please do not laugh out loud? Like, sorry, can we cut? Maybe that's what all the edits are. I figured it out. All the edits in this, when he talks, is they're trying to cut out the sound of everybody going, fuck, what?
Allow the public to put that together. And
Dude, we can't. You cannot leave that. Hold on.
case, for example, you need three things. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information. I'll allow the public to put that together and just wait. And
You'll allow us? Oh, thanks. We're going to need some help because none of us know what the F you are talking about. What does that mean? What does that mean? You need people. People who need people. You need people, you need information, and you need people with information. Somebody get this information off my desk. Fuck! I'm kind of shocked. Why? Thank you, Zane. I loved my work in lab rats too.
nothing we're doing, nothing, is by accident.
Yes, I agree. That was a well planned out phrase right there. You don't those kind of sentences. You don't form a dipshit haiku like that out of nowhere.
People who are quote unquote supposedly on the side of reporting truthfully should take a look at this instance.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, they need to find some people and some information and some people with information. And I think those are three different things.
Because they are setting up circular firing squads. And Dan and I have already told the FBI, every employee that acted appropriately, we are going to defend you to the hill, literally.
Figuratively. You're not actually going to draw down on people with a handgun or a sword, I guess. You're going to defend them to the hilt, meaning they can to the hilt means I will die on the sword literally to where the hilt is pressed against my stomach, falling on the sword so that I can get close enough to kill the person that I am battling with to the hilt. That would be what that's... I just don't think they're going to do it. I'm going to... Look, I don't want to say it's all bullshit, but that is definitely bullshit.
No matter the consequences. But for the media, who's gone through the disinformation cycle of Russiagate, of January 6th, for them to come in here and take the clickbait and
how dare they take it? Don't they make the clickbait? I don't want to be a. I'm sorry, my mistake. I was trying to make some of this make sense.
8 articles based on half-truths doesn't hurt us. This is what I'll tell you something I didn't think we were going to get into today. But every morning we tell our leadership cadre when we sit down with them, nothing written in the media is going to affect him or me.
Look.
You guys are fucked, though. None of it's. Yes, it is. Yes, it will. What are you talking about? It should. How did you start meetings like that? What the fuck is wrong with you? Sorry. So you start meetings by passing the buck and avoiding responsibility? What the hell?
Into today. But every morning we tell our leadership cadre when we sit down with them, nothing written in the media is going to affect him or me.
Look, you said...
Edit. Oh, shit. Did he say something even dumber than that and they had to cut it out? Yes, it should affect you. You're in charge. None of this is going to affect us. We're going to pawn it off on you motherfuckers. If anything blows up, goes boom, boom, or whatever while I'm at a UFC game, I'm going to blame you guys, okay? So we're untouchable. Trump likes us, but you guys are fucked. So you better do our job or you're in deep shit.
Illegal alien criminals and child predators are next in your ongoing crackdown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just like saying crackdown.
How are you going to do it?
The illegal immigration problem with 20 million people came in. Yeah, okay, most of them probably were here to work in it, but a lot of them weren't. They were here to...
Okay, first of all, there weren't 20 million at all. We've got about 11 to 12 million that have been in here at max. No. Secondly, look, some of them, I mean, a lot of them came here to work, but a bunch of them didn't. So most of them, you're saying, of the bullshit number aren't a problem at all. But you're going after babies with cancer and shipping off this fucking Maryland dad to a gulag.
Trafficking kids and fentanyl. If you were here illegally, the administration's approach, which the director and I have actioned through the agents in the field, is, listen, I'm speaking a bit hyperbolically, but...
A bit?
Me if I'm wrong, right? You're the lawyer. We're giving you about 5 minutes to cooperate. If you're here illegally, 5 minutes, you're out. Title 8, AEA, whatever we've got. We're not wasting an agent who's making, a decent salary, who we train. We're not wasting 3 weeks of his time to beg you for information, for a proffer. We're not. We're kicking you out. The president's going to seal the...
So you're just going to... okay, let me get this straight. You catch somebody for murder or something like that, and you're not going to work on prosecuting the case against them. You're just going to give them a free ticket home. Brilliant. So under Dan Bongino and Kash Patel over here, the two of them, with Trump's permission, have decided that if a cartel member or somebody like that kills an American citizen and we don't have an extradition or receival agreement that's instantaneous with whatever country they're from, we're just going to fly them home and drop them off. And whatever the fuck they do there, even if it's turn right around and come back here or make a fucking phone call to get witnesses killed so that they can, their buddies that work up here can continue to work, you don't give a shit.
In the first 2-3 months that we've been in the seat under Donald Trump's administration, he has sealed the border. He has stopped border crossings. So where's all the fentanyl coming from still?
Where it was always coming from, in ports and driven across the border by Americans in cars. It was never largely coming from immigrants.
Where's the trafficking coming from still?
Well, that's interesting. So excellent point. You shut down the border and you still have the same numbers in terms of internal trafficking and drugs. That means it was never the border. So the simplest Occam's razor in this particular sentence, I don't know if you could call it a sentence, in this concept that he's floating, is that Trump is full of shit and was always full of shit, and that he thought he was blaming people coming across the border to work for all the violence and drugs and stuff that was happening, and when it wasn't the source of it at all.
Where are all the narco traffickers going to keep bringing this stuff into the country? The
Florida?
northern border. Our adversaries have partnered up.
Yeah, they're so close to getting it.
CCP and others, Russia, Iran, on a variety of different criminal enterprises, and they're sailing around to Vancouver and coming in by air. And the sheer tyranny of distance of the northern border and the lack of cooperation from federal authorities in prior administrations to actually firm up that northern border is what's causing a continuation of violent crime. Now, we're focused on it.
Right. We're focused on the drugs coming across, aren't we? Aren't we, Bongholio? You know what I'm saying? We're looking for that Canadian snow, you know what I'm saying? Come on, bitches. So it was never the southern border, it was always the northern border. The numbers are the same, so it can't be that it was coming through regular transportation, shipping, containers, all that kind of stuff for trade, hidden in that stuff and boated in. It was, you were just saying it was full of backpacks of Mexican migrant workers that you were shitting on, and it turns out, nope.
And we're calling our state and local law enforcement partners up there. But you know who has to get to step in is Canada.
Why do they have to step in? Why don't you? I thought you were going Mr. In the field. If it's all moving to the northern border, fuck are you doing talking to her? What are you doing in D.C., dipshit? Why don't you go down, stick your finger, like, go up to fucking Wyoming and North Dakota and go, I feel the crack is coming from the sunrise. There is, as the mountain screams and the eagle climbs, we feel that the fentanyl is coming in a suitcase from a Canuck.
Because they're making it up there and shipping it down here. And I don't care about getting into this debate about making someone the 51st state or not. But they are our partner in the north. And say what you want about Mexico, but they helped us seal the southern border. The facts speak for themselves. The border that's open, I'll give you a statistic that I gave to Congress that nobody was paying attention to. Over 300 known or suspected terrorists crossed into this country last year illegally. Known or suspected terrorists, not illegals.
300 known or suspected. What do you think the odds are that 2 of them are, quote, known and the rest are suspected, and the known part is they're from Syria, or they're from a country where there's terrorism, or they're Palestinian refugees who are trying to sneak into the country to survive, or those kind of things? Known or suspected.
Just illegals, known or suspected terrorists. 85% of them came in through the northern border. Wow. This year, 100 known or suspected terrorists have crossed into this country illegally.
And what are you doing about it? Fucking nothing.
64 or so.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
The north.
Gentlemen, we've hit on so much today, and I really appreciate your time.
Yes, we've hit on so much of it and not actually accomplished anything.
I'm so happy that we were able to sit down with you so your viewers can see it. We're not a lot of media, and we're going to continue to not do a lot of media.
Right. We're only doing this one cleanup, and you saw how bad this was. So, but it's not a good idea to do it again. I mean, it's basically us and Besant jockeying for worst media appearances right now.
You have reported truthfully for years, even when it wasn't popular, when it wasn't fun, when it cost you money, and when it cost you personally. So that's why we welcomed you to the Hoover Building. We welcomed, yes, we do have an indoor shooting range, which we'll get you to soon. But we really appreciate you.
Yeah, no, it seems like you guys are sitting downwind from lead dust. It would explain a lot of this conversation, that you all are just inhaling copious amounts of lead fragments.
Having the audacity to continue to report the truth.
I'm Steve.
Jesus Christ. That was fucking pitiful.